In recent years, the global financial landscape has undergone profound changes. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have been at the forefront of these shifts, challenging the long-standing dominance of the United States and its currency, the US dollar. In 2024, BRICS made one of its boldest moves yet, with a new currency agreement that could dramatically alter the balance of global financial power. The agreement aims to create a currency mechanism that bypasses the US dollar in international trade, threatening to undermine its hegemony and shift power towards the East. But how did this happen, and what does it mean for the future of global finance? In this video, we will dive deep into the new BRICS currency agreement, explore its potential to dismantle the US dollar's dominance, and discuss how this could reshape global economics as we know it. The US dollar has been the world's leading currency since the Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944. This agreement established the dollar as the global reserve currency, backed by the promise of convertibility into gold. Even after the gold standard was abandoned in 1971, the dollar remained dominant, with countries around the world holding it in reserve and using it for international trade and finance. The strength of the U.S. economy, its military power, and the stability of its institutions help solidify the dollar's position at the top. Countries prefer trading in U.S. dollars because it provides liquidity, stability, and trust. Over 80% of international trade is conducted in dollars, and around 60% of global foreign reserves are held in the U.S. currency. Furthermore, oil, one of the most traded commodities in the world, is primarily bought and sold using dollars, a system known as the petrodollar. This has given the United States enormous influence over the global financial system. However, this dominance has not come without controversy. Many countries, particularly those within BRICS, have long argued that the current financial system disproportionately benefits the U.S., allowing it to run large deficits and impose sanctions without significant repercussions. This dissatisfaction has led BRICS to pursue alternatives to the dollar. BRICS represents a significant portion of the global economy, accounting for over 40% of the world's population and nearly 25% of global GDP. These nations have grown increasingly frustrated with a global financial system that they view as unfairly skewed in favor of the West. In particular, they see the dominance of the US dollar as a tool that allows Washington to wield disproportionate power in global finance. The BRICS nations have been actively seeking ways to reduce their dependence on the dollar. This has become especially critical for countries like Russia, which has been heavily sanctioned by the West, following its invasion of Ukraine in 2022. These sanctions, which rely on the global dominance of the dollar and the SWIFT payment system, have cut Russia off from many aspects of the international financial system. In response, Russia has turned to alternative systems, increasing its trade with China and other BRICS nations in local currencies. China, too, has been working to internationalize its currency, the yuan, as a potential alternative to the dollar. The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, China's massive infrastructure project, has allowed China to encourage the use of the yuan in international trade. The goal is to establish a multipolar world where financial power is no longer concentrated in the West. In 2024, BRICS took a historic step forward by announcing a new currency agreement that aims to create a common currency for trade between its members. This agreement seeks to bypass the US dollar in global transactions, reducing the reliance on Western financial systems and institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, which have long been dominated by Western interests. The proposed currency, which is expected to be backed by a basket of commodities such as gold, oil, and rare earth minerals, is designed to offer stability and reduce volatility. This move is particularly significant for countries like Russia and China, which have been targeted by U.S. sanctions. By conducting trade in their own currency or in this new BRICS-backed currency, these nations can avoid the restrictions imposed by the dollar-dominated system. This agreement has the potential to be a game-changer in global finance. If successful, it could encourage other nations, particularly in the global south, to abandon the dollar for trade with BRICS. Countries such as Saudi Arabia and Iran, who have already shown interest in joining BRICS, could further accelerate this trend. The new BRICS currency agreement represents a direct challenge to the hegemony of the US dollar. The dollar's dominance relies heavily on its use in global trade, particularly in oil transactions. If more countries begin trading in a BRICS-backed currency, the demand for the US dollar could decline, which could have several profound effects on the global economy. One of the key privileges the US enjoys due to the dollar's dominance is its ability to run large deficits without suffering the same consequences as other nations. Because so many countries hold US dollars in reserve, the US can borrow at relatively low interest rates. If demand for the dollar decreases, this exorbitant privilege could be at risk. The US may find it harder to finance its debts, leading to higher borrowing costs and potential inflation. Moreover, the effectiveness of US sanctions could be significantly reduced. The US often uses its control over the global financial system to impose sanctions on countries that violate international norms, such as Russia, Iran, and North Korea. If BRICS nations and their partners can conduct trade without using the dollar, these sanctions will lose much of their bite. While the dollar is unlikely to be completely displaced in the short term, the rise of alternative currencies and systems will gradually erode its global dominance. Over time, we may see a more multipolar financial system, where the dollar is just one of several major currencies used in international trade. The success of the BRICS currency agreement will depend on several factors. First, the currency must be seen as stable and trustworthy. One of the reasons the US dollar has maintained its dominance is because of the stability and transparency of the US economy. BRICS nations will need to ensure that their currency is backed by reliable commodities and that its value is not subject to excessive volatility. Second, the BRICS nations will need to build the infrastructure necessary to support this new currency. This includes creating a payment system that can handle international transactions without relying on Western-dominated networks like SWIFT. Russia has already developed the SPFS system as an alternative to SWIFT, and China has its cross-border interbank payment system CIAPs. Expanding these systems to other BRICS nations and beyond will be crucial. Lastly, political cohesion within BRICS will be essential. While the BRICS nations share common interests in challenging Western dominance, they also have significant differences in their political systems and economic priorities. India, for example, has a more complicated relationship with China, and Brazil has its own regional ambitions. For the BRICS currency to succeed, these nations will need to work together closely and resolve any internal conflicts. The BRICS currency agreement is part of a broader effort by emerging economies to create a more equitable global financial system. For decades, the international economic order has been shaped by institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, which have been largely controlled by the US and its allies. This system has often been criticized for imposing harsh conditions on developing nations and favoring Western interests. By creating their own financial institutions and currency, the BRICS nations are pushing for a more multipolar world, where no single country or currency holds disproportionate power. This shift could have far-reaching implications for global trade, investment, and geopolitics. While the US and Europe will remain major players in the global economy, the rise of BRICS and their efforts to dismantle the dollar's dominance signal that the days of uncontested Western control over global finance may be coming to an end. In conclusion, the new BRICS currency agreement represents a major step toward reducing the dominance of the US dollar in global finance. By creating a currency that bypasses the dollar and is backed by a basket of commodities, BRICS is challenging the very foundation of the current financial order. While the full impact of this move will take time to unfold, it's clear that the global financial landscape is changing. As BRICS continues to rise, the question is no longer if the US dollar's dominance will be challenged, but when. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth geopolitical content. What do you think? Could this new BRICS currency truly dethrone the US dollar? Let us know in the comments below.